Today we're checking out all the awesome music that you guys sent me over like the last year. Hey friends, welcome back. So it has been forever since we've done a mail time on the channel, so I figured we would do one today. And just letting you know, it's gonna take a while, so get comfy, make some popcorn, and let's dive in. Alright, so first off, we got a ton of mail from Rod Rogers, so we'll be bouncing back and forth between him and the other fans that have sent us music. Okay, so in the first package from Rod, we got Stoneflower by Antonio Carlos Jobim, a bossa nova classic from 1970. I had Wave, but I didn't have this one. Favorite track on here is the title track, Stoneflower. Next up, we got Elegant Gypsy by Al Di Meola, a great jazz fusion album from 1977. Favorite track on here is Mediterranean Sundance. Next up, we also got the greatest hits of Sergio Mendes and Brazil 66, a great 60s bossa nova album released in 1970. Favorite track on here is Going Out of My Head. And finally, we got the greatest hits of Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass, a great Latin jazz pop album from 1970. Favorite track on here is Spanish Flea. So overall, a lot of great stuff. Now the next package we got is from David Pedroza, and he gave us the self-titled debut album of his band, First Boy on the Moon. Now he also included this note, where he basically says that he enjoys everything we're doing on the channel, and if I could show y'all his latest release on vinyl, he would really appreciate it. Absolutely, David, it would be an honor. So here is the front of the album. I really like this design, and I feel the artwork is going to look cool on my record wall. Now, if we flip it over to the back, we get the track list right here. And finally, here is what the actual record itself looks like. As you can see, it's on blue vinyl, which looks really nice. Now, the music itself has sort of an indie, alternative, rock feel to it, with my favorite track on the album being Pretty Vicious. So thanks so much, David, for sending this over. Now, inside the next package we got from Rod is a Dead Can Dance DVD called Toward the Within, which is a 1-hour video of a concert that they had at the Mayfair Theater in Santa Monica, California in 2001, I believe. Now, in between the live music, it also features interviews with the band and even a few bonus features of additional songs, with my favorite being the Host of Seraphim. That is a very emotionally moving and powerful song, so if you haven't heard it, I highly recommend you listen to it. And in general, if you've never heard Dead Can Dance, definitely check out their album Anastasis. It's ancient sounding, mystical, worldly, sonic euphoria, and it'll change your life. Now next up, we got Time Out by the Dave Brubeck Quartet, a timeless jazz classic from 1959, which I'm sure if you love the genre, you're probably already familiar with. Now, I picked this one up on CD a while back, but I did not have it on vinyl, so now I'm glad I do. And finally, favorite track on the album is of course Take 5. Such a great song. And finally, last of all, we have the 2021 album Burn by Lisa Gerard and Jules Maxwell, who both belong to the band Dead Can Dance. And this album is basically like a side project of theirs. So since this album doesn't easily fit into any one genre, it's been described by Piccadilly Records as, quote, a diverse mix of electronica, alternative, cinematic, soundscape, and world music. And yeah, I would definitely agree with their assessment. This music is deep, interesting, and multifaceted. So it's kind of like Dead Can Dance, but with more electronic elements. And finally, my favorite track on here is The Sea Will Rise. Now, the next package we got is from David Subert, and he gave us 2 really cool wax cylinders, which we'll get to in a second. But first, he also included this note, where he basically says that he and his friend Abel enjoy the videos on the channel, and David is actually in charge of curating the recorded sound archives at UC Santa Barbara, where they have a lot of pre-vinyl recordings, such as wax cylinders. So since they had a few duplicates, credits, he wanted to send me one gold molded wax cylinder from 1907 and a blue amberol cylinder from before World War I. And to top that off, if I wanted to actually listen to them, because I don't own a wax cylinder phonograph yet, I could go to UCSB's Cylinder Audio Archive online and hear what they actually sound like, as well as learn even more information about them. And then he put the link down there. So thank you so much, David and Abel, for the nice letter, and especially for sending these really cool wax cylinders. Now, since these are essentially historical relics from the past, I figured I should bust out my white gloves that came with my Fluence turntable, so I can hold these things without transferring any oil from my fingertips. And trust me, if I had the budget, I would keep these cylinders on display behind glass, but alas, I do not have that budget, so for now, I'll just keep them up on the shelf. But regardless, here they are, and they look simply gorgeous. So overall, I am very glad to now add 2 more wax cylinders to my collection. I mean, just think of how awesome this is, right? I'm using my digital camera right now to record these wax cylinders and then putting the video on YouTube. I'm using new technology to film old technology and then share it with the world online. I don't know, I just think that's kind of cool. So I love that stuff. So thanks again, David and Abel. I really appreciate it. Y'all are awesome. Now, inside the next package we got from Rod is the record Perfect Angel by Minnie Riperton, a soul and R&B album from 1974. Favorite track on here is, of course, Lovin' You. Makes me happy every time I hear it. Next up, we got Stay With Me by Regina Belle, a beautifully smooth pop and R&B album from 1989. Favorite track on this one is Baby Come To Me. Excellent song. And finally, the last record in the package is Born to Love by Peebo Bryson and Roberta Flack, a funk and soul album from 1983. Favorite track on this one is Tonight I Celebrate My Love. Such a great ballad. Definitely recommend checking it out. Now, the next package we got is from Matea Jadeiq, a musician and singer-songwriter from Serbia. And in the included note here, he basically says how he spent the last 2 years recording his debut album, Time Station, in his home studio. And he wanted to give me a copy of it on CD to add to my personal collection. So thank you so much, Matea, for the nice letter, and especially for sending over your album, Time Station. Now, I just listened to it, and man, I gotta say, this is incredible music. It's got great bass lines, it's very well produced, excellent mastering, all that good stuff. Basically, all of the work you put into it really shows in the final product. It sounds clean. Now, as far as the overall feel of the music, I'd call it like neo-futuristic noir dance music. It has a slick, cool, modern sound to it and is very original. So overall, I loved this album. My favorite track on it was You Got Me Figured Out, and basically to everyone watching this, the last thing I'll say here is y'all keep an eye on this guy. He is going places. Okay, so inside the next package we got from Rod is a vinyl record box set called the Motown Story. So inside here we got 5 records total featuring a whopping 58 individual songs, which basically put the Motown record label on the map. This box set is really cool. It's got so many great tracks on here, and what I really like is that in between these classic songs, we also get little interviews and voiceover intros from the artist before their song plays. Very cool. So it's got a great vintage throwback feel to it. And it basically sounds like an old radio program you'd catch on your stereo receiver in the 60s or 70s. So it's like a radio show with excellent music. So overall, if you love learning about the history of great music, you should definitely check out the Motown Story. Now, the next package we got is from Tony Villa from the UK-based blank cassette retailer Cassette Comeback. And he also has a YouTube channel also called Cassette Comeback. So inside the note he included, he basically says how he just launched a record label called Red Manor Records and wanted to send over his latest release, which is all about synthwave music. So here it is. It's called This Is Synthwave 3. It features nice looking new wave 80s retro artwork, has a total of 20 tracks by different artists on 2 beautiful colored vinyl records, and last of all uses a technology called quiet vinyl, which basically means that they master the music properly perfectly so it sounds its absolute best on the vinyl format. So that's really cool. Now, as far as the music is concerned, like I said, the album has a retro synthwave vibe to it, and my favorite track on the album is Winds Deprive by Aftermore. So thank you so much, Tony, for sending this one over, and best of luck with your new record label. Now, inside the next package we got from Rod are 4 different CDs that are all Dead Can Dance and Lisa Gerard related. So we just talked about how I feel about Dead Can Dance and how amazing they are, so I want to turn my attention to the other 2 Lisa Gerard albums. So the first one is called Duality, and it has that similar spiritual feel to Dead Can Dance. It sounds tribal and mystical, with Lisa's vocals elegantly weaving their way around the rhythms. So it's a good album. And the second CD we have is called The Silver Tree. Now this one is my favorite. It's dark, bleak, kinda gothic, hauntingly beautiful music, and I absolutely love it. Lisa Gerard's vocals just kill it on this album, and her voice has this unique ability to walk that fine line between powerful and fragile. It's great music, and overall, I am honored to include it in my collection. Now, the next package we got is from John Buxton, a musician from Wisconsin. Inside his note that he included with the package, he basically says how he's a subscriber on the channel and he recently released his first album on vinyl, where he wrote all the songs, played all the instruments, and even recorded it in his hometown. So that is really cool. Now, the official name of his band is the John Buxton Experience, and the name of this particular album is Portal to Heck. So it's got 6 tracks total, and the overall feel of the music is it's got this fast tempo, high energy, punk rock feel to it, with maybe even a touch of ska in there as well. It's fun, it's lively, it's loud, it's in your face, and it sounds really good. Favorite track on this one is Frenzy. So thank you, John, for sending it over. I love your sound. Keep doing what you're doing. Now, inside the next package we got from Rod is a vinyl record of the album Home by Rye. This one comes on a double vinyl gatefold and has a total of 13 tracks. Now, the overall feel of this music is mellow, laid-back, electronic rhythms and beats paired perfectly with light and airy vocals that seem to drift into the clouds and sort of hang out there for a while. My favorite track on this one is Beautiful. So overall, this is just nice, modern, chill-out music for both active and passive listening. It's got a good vibe. Now, the next package we got is from Kevin Liu, a viewer on the channel. So he sent us the album Rumors by Fleetwood Mac. Inside the included note, he says, "You'll hear things you've never heard before with this pressing and the Ortophon 2M Black." So I popped the record on my turntable, and sure enough, you were right, Kevin. This is a fun and lively folk album, and with my particular vinyl setup, it sounds really good. So thank you so much for sending this record over. I really appreciate it. Now, inside the next package we got from Rod are quite a few things. First up, we got a 45 of the Righteous Brothers featuring their songs Rock and Roll Heaven and I Just Wanna Be Me. Next up, we got an interesting DVD called Staging Success, which is a 1-hour PBS documentary about the revival of Cleveland's downtown theaters in an area called Playhouse Square. Next up, we have the compilation album, The Righteous Brothers' Greatest Hits on vinyl. Favorite track on here is You've Lost That Lovin' Feelin'. Next up, we got the compilation album, The Best of Jennifer Warnes on vinyl. Favorite track on here is I'm Restless. Next up, we got the Righteous Brothers again on vinyl. This is their Greatest Hits Volume 2. Favorite track on this one is Let the Good Times Roll. Next up, we got the Mobile Fidelity Sound Lab pressing of the 1962 jazz album I Left My Heart in San Francisco by Tony Bennett. Favorite track on here is Tender Is the Night. Next up, we got another Mo-Fi pressing of Tony Bennett. This one is his 1963 album I Wanna Be Around. Favorite track on here is The Good Life. Next up, we got more music from Jennifer Warnes. This is a vinyl box set of her 1986 album, Famous Blue Raincoat, The Songs of Leonard Cohen. Favorite track on here is First We Take Manhattan. That's a really good, catchy tune, and I like it. And last of all, we have another vinyl box set of Jennifer Warnes. This is her album The Well, and my favorite track on it is And So It Goes. It's a very emotional track, and I dig it. Okay, so the next package we got is from Megan Orrs, and she sent us this very nice letter which basically says she also collects records and wanted to send us her favorite record soap. So basically, she has her own soap making company called Luluddy, and she handcrafted this bar of soap which looks like a vinyl record and smells like the incense in her favorite record shop. So basically, this bar of soap looks really cool. It's got grooves in it like a real record does, and it smells like patchouli, which I really like. Now, the thing is, it looks so nice, I kinda don't want to use it, you know what I mean? But I'm sure I will eventually. So anyways, thank you so much, Megan, for sending this over. Now, inside the next package we got from Rod is another assortment of goodies. First up, we got a CD of the very best of Chris Bodie, released in 2002. This guy is an excellent trumpet player if you've not heard of him. Favorite track on here is Irresistible Bliss. Next up, we got another CD of a 1987 live performance of Diane Shure and the Count Basie Orchestra. Favorite track on here is Caught a Touch of Your Love. Next up, we got a Blu-ray of the 2004 film The Polar Express, which to this day I have not seen, so now I finally can. And next up, we got a 10-episode DVD box set of the Ken Burns music documentary called Jazz, which is produced by PBS. It looks really interesting and is about the history of the genre. Next up, we got a 12-inch vinyl single of alternate versions of Sade's classic song, Smooth Operator. Now, as y'all know from watching my videos, I'm a huge fan of Sade's work, so this record in particular means a lot to me. Next up, we got some classical ballet music by Tchaikovsky, pressed by the Deutsche Grammophone record label. So the first record is the Nutcracker, and the second record has Sleeping Beauty and Swan Lake. Next up, we got Christmas Hymns and Carols by Mario Lanza. Favorite track on here is Silent Night. Next up, we got the jazz album Alone Together with Chet Baker and Bill Evans, released by the Wax Time record label in 2011, and pressed on 180-gram vinyl. Favorite track on this record is the title track, Alone Together. Definitely worth listening to. Next up, we got the original motion picture soundtrack of The Polar Express on vinyl, so this will perfectly complement the film. Next up, we got Chet Baker Sings, released by the Jazz Images record label in 2016, also on 180-gram virgin vinyl. This is a classic jazz record that I am so glad to own on vinyl now, and my favorite track on it is I Get Along Without You Very Well. Very touching song. It's very soft, fragile, and it's beautiful. Next up, we got It Could Happen to You, also by Chet Baker, and also released by Wax Time in 2021 on 180-gram colored vinyl. Favorite track on this album is the title track. Next up, keeping the big band and jazz theme going, we got the live album Frank Sinatra at the Sands featuring Count Basie and his orchestra. Favorite track on here is Come Fly With Me. Next up, we got another live performance at the Sands, this time pressed by MoFi, and this time with only Count Basie and his band. So essentially, this album was recorded the same night before Frank Sinatra took the stage, which is pretty cool. So that's why it says Before Frank on the bottom right-hand corner. Favorite track on this album is I Can't Stop Loving You. So that is everything included in the package. Quite a lot of music. Now the next package we got is from Trish Mullins, or DJ Trish, and she sent us a nice little Christmas card. As you can tell, it's taken me a while to open up all this mail, and she also sent us a sticker and a mixtape. So my favorite track on the mixtape of hers is The 12 Pains of Christmas by Bob Rivers. It's pretty hilarious, and I wasn't expecting it, so thank you, Trish. Now the first thing inside the next package we got from Rod is a CD called The Best of the Temptations. This is a great band. I mean, if you love great music, you already know about the Temptations, so I don't even need to elaborate there. So my favorite track on this CD is, of course, My Girl. Next up, we got another CD. This one is the greatest hits of the Four Tops. Favorite track on here is Baby, I Need Your Lovin'. Next up, we have a music documentary on DVD all about the Detroit-based funk and soul band called the Funk Brothers, who worked with the Motown record label in the 1960s. Next up, we got Diana Ross and the Supremes Anthology, a 3-disc vinyl record trifold album from 1974. This thing is amazing. Favorite track on here is Stop in the Name of Love. Next up, we got Marvin Gaye's iconic funk and soul album, Let's Get It On, from 1973. Favorite track on here is, of course, the title track. That song is almost like a meme now, but it's still good. Next up, we have the record of another Motown singer. This is Mary Wells and her 1964 Greatest Hits album. As you can see, this is one of those notch records that I talked about in a video a while back. Favorite track on here is You Beat Me to the Punch. Next up, we got What's Going On, also by Marvin Gaye, and also released by Motown in 1971, although this is a later pressing by Tamla. So favorite track on this one is also, of course, the title track. Next up, we got the Gladys Knight and the Pips anthology album on a double vinyl gatefold from 1973, yet again pressed by Motown. So all the music in this package seems to be Motown related. Favorite track on this one is I Heard It Through the Grapevine. Next up, we got the album Easy by Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell. This record is from 1969, and my favorite track on it is California Soul. It's got a good beat. Next up, we got another album by the same musical duo. This one's called You're All I Need and was released 1 year earlier in 1968. Favorite track on here is Ain't Nothing Like the Real Thing. And finally, last of all, we have Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell again with their album United, also pressed by Motown 1 year earlier in 1967. I think I opened these up in the wrong order, but oh well. Favorite track on this one is the majestic Ain't No Mountain High Enough. We've all heard that one on the radio, and it is simply a perfect song. Alright, now the next package we got is from the Chicago-based indie folk band Burn the Barn, and according to their handwritten note here, they've sent us their debut album on vinyl and also this cool little sticker. So here's what the front of the record looks like. As you can see, the name of this album is Hyper Delineation. If we flip it over to the back, we get the band members on the right and the track list on the left. Inside, we also have the liner notes, as well as some cool artwork of a star-shaped symbol, which I believe might be the symbol of the band. I'm not really sure. And finally, here's the actual record. As you can see, it's on a beautiful, deep reddish, purple-colored vinyl, and as far as the music goes, it has a fun, lively, upbeat feel to it. It's fresh, it's catchy, and it's got a good rhythm. And the overall sound quality and the vocals are also really good. So thank you so much to Burn the Barn for sending over their album, and if you've gotten this far in the video and you like indie folk music, then you should definitely give them a listen. Now the first thing inside the next package we got from Rod is a DVD of the Christopher Reeve film Somewhere in Time. I haven't seen this one either. In fact, there's a lot of films that I still haven't seen yet, but I'll be sure to check this one out. Next up, we got a Phil Collins 2-DVD set called Finally, The First Farewell Tour. This one came out in 2004 and covers a live concert that he had in Paris. I'll be honest, I haven't really listened to much Phil Collins, but he is one of those artists that everyone seems to talk about, so I'm definitely willing to explore more of his catalog. There's just so much music in the world, it's hard to get through everything, you know what I mean? There's just so much out there. Alright, so next up we got a really cool Mo-Fi Ultra Disc CD from 1993 of Pink Floyd's classic album Dark Side of the Moon. So according to Discogs, this is a 24 karat carat gold-plated disc from Mobile Fidelity Sound Lab's original master recordings, and I think it's still sealed, which is really cool. Okay, so next up we got the soundtrack to Somewhere in Time, which was composed and conducted by John Barry. As I said, I haven't seen the movie yet, so I haven't heard the music either, but I did pop this into my CD player, and the music was very orchestral and beautiful. It's got a ton of violins and cellos, and I love that stuff. Alright, now next up we got some ABBA here. This one is a compilation called More ABBA Gold from 1993 on CD. Favorite track on it is Under Attack. Next up, we got another ABBA album. This one is on a double vinyl gatefold called ABBA Gold. Yet again, seems like we're kind of going in reverse order, but that's okay. Favorite track on here is, of course, Dancing Queen. We've all heard it, and we all love it. Next up, we got some more Phil Collins. This is the singles on another double vinyl gatefold. Favorite track on here is In the Air Tonight. Next up, we got the Carpenters with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra on another double vinyl gatefold, and these records are 180 gram, which is awesome. Favorite track on here is Close to You. Next up, we got the Carpenters' very first album, which was originally called Offering, with this artwork, but then they later retitled it to Ticket to Ride and changed the artwork on the cover. So that's really cool, and this cover is really a piece of history. Okay, so next up we got the album Voyage by ABBA, which came out last year in 2021. As you can see on the sticker, this is their first new album after a 40-year hiatus. So that is really cool. I'm glad they're back at it. Favorite track on it is Don't Shut Me Down. Now next up we got a kind of experimental record from 1976 called Inside Star Trek by Gene Roddenberry. So as y'all know, he's the guy who created Star Trek, and according to Discogs, the genre of this record is electronic, non-music, and stage and screen. So it's got the theme song of the show on here, it's got interviews with William Shatner and Gene Roddenberry, and kind of a little bit of everything. So basically, if you love Star Trek, this is definitely a record to check out. Now next up we got the 1981 album Long Play by the Dutch novelty pop band Stars on 45. So basically this band was known for remixing and blending various hit songs together by synchronizing them to their beats to create an entirely new dance-friendly music experience. Now it's hard to pick a favorite song on here because the whole thing is like one long run-on song, but it is very original and I would definitely recommend y'all check it out if you get the chance. Alright, so next up we have another interesting record. This one is a live recorded musical and stage play called Tomfoolery, featuring the words, music, and lyrics of Tom Lehrer, who's an American musician, singer-songwriter, satirist, and mathematician. So it's kind of a dark-humored musical that doesn't really fit into any other category. So next up we got the 1987 album It's Better to Travel by the English pop group Swing Out Sister. This album has a great 80s beat to it, and my favorite track on it is Breakout. Okay, so that's everything that was in this package. Lots of stuff. Alright, now the next package we got is from Matthias from Vinyl Postcards. Now inside his included letter, he basically says that Vinyl Postcards, a company I mentioned on the channel back in 2017, had stopped production for a few years, but recently they've developed a new method of making these vinyl postcards, and they wanted to share a few of them with us. So that's pretty cool. I'm glad they're back at making them, and let's check them out. Okay, so here they are, and just by holding them, I can immediately tell that they are now using a thicker layer of clear vinyl on the surface. And after playing these vinyl postcards on my turntable, I could immediately tell that the sound quality is much better because of that thicker layer on top. So basically, we're not getting all that surface noise which was present on those thinner cardboard postcards. So this is definitely an improvement. So if you want to mail vinyl record postcards to your friends who love music and also happen to own a turntable, then you can check them out at vinylpostcards.com. Alright, so inside the next package we got from Rod are 4 vinyl albums that are all related to either Lisa Gerard or Dead Can Dance in general. So since y'all already know my thoughts on these 2 groups, I'm just gonna tell y'all the names of these albums. So first up, we got Into the Labyrinth by Dead Can Dance on Mobile Fidelity Sound Lab. Next up, we got the vinyl record of Toward the Within. Next up, we got Departum by Lisa Gerard. And last of all, we got The Trail of Genghis Khan, also by Lisa Gerard. So finally, that is everything that Rod sent us. And dude, thank you so much for all the awesome music. I appreciate it. Now, the last few items we got are a CD from Fabio Verone of his album Cemetery by his band The Brainwash. It has sort of an 80s goth synth feel to it with a nice bass line, which sounds really cool. Next up, we got a cassette and a 10-inch record from the musician Joby Bond of his album Straight White Trash, which has a pretty funny title there. Overall, the feel of this music is indie, lo-fi, beat-driven dream pop. And finally, our last record of the day is actually a double vinyl gatefold called King of the Beats Anthology by Mantronix, which was sent to us by Chris Jimson and released in 2019. As you can see, it's on red vinyl, and the overall sound of the music is electro and hip-hop. It's very dance-friendly. Alright, so that is all of the music that we got over like the last year, I think. And basically, if you're still here, I just want to say thank you for watching this entire video, and to everyone who sent us music, thank you all so much. Y'all are awesome, and I appreciate every single one of you. Now, what records caught your eye in this video? Let me know down in the comments below, and if you love music in general and vinyl records, feel free to subscribe and smack that little bell notification so you won't miss out on the new videos, which will be much shorter. And most importantly of all, friends, have a fantastic day, stay safe, and keep spinning that vinyl.